This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review with your NHL Early Lines report for the games taking place on Thursday, October the 27th. As always, Thursday, one of the busier slates during the week in the NHL. Many games of interest to break down. Let's start with the Islanders taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Divisional matchup here between these two teams. And yes, everybody excited in the hockey world to see Sidney Crosby back. Well, maybe not opponents of the Pittsburgh Penguins, but the Penguins are happy to have him back. Most hockey fans that enjoy watching Sidney Crosby, they're happy to have him back as well. And obviously, he made an impact right off the hop in his return against the Florida Panthers, scoring a key goal to lead the Penguins to victory in that game on Tuesday night, 3-2 in his return. We'll see if Pittsburgh can maintain the momentum as they face the New York Islanders here in this game on Thursday. Islanders have won 3 of their last 4 games. They beat Anaheim in overtime, home wins against Arizona and Minnesota, also a loss to San Jose during that stretch. So they've played some pretty decent hockey as well, have the New York Islanders, and getting, decent contributions from most of the guys in their lineup. John Tavares, 5 points, Brock Nelson, 5 points as well. But then there's a little bit of a drop-off. Secondary scoring, a little bit of a concern, I guess you could say, for this Islanders team. We'll see if Pittsburgh, with Sidney Crosby back, puts the pedal to the metal. I wouldn't be looking to buck Pittsburgh in this spot. I mean, they had lost to Nashville on the weekend, bounced back with a win against Florida. Usually when a team snaps a losing streak with a win, sometimes they're able to keep that momentum going for more than just one game. So I would lean to Pittsburgh. Maybe you look at the puck line here in this game, or Pittsburgh over their team total if I had to play it. Arizona, Philadelphia, next game on the slate for Thursday. I'll tell you what, Arizona's in a world of hurt right now, and they're in a world of hurt because their defense has been poor, and their goaltending has just had a ton of issues. Mike Smith injured, and now they're relegated to having Louis Domingue and Justin Peters as their 2 goaltenders. That's not a goaltending tandem I trust to get me victories in the National Hockey League on a long-term basis, and we've seen the Arizona team struggle in terms of goals allowed. They've allowed 7, 5, 3, 3, 5 goals in each of their last 5 games. All of them losses. Their 5-game losing streak, the Coyotes, heading into this game against the Flyers. Philadelphia, on the other hand, won against Buffalo in their last game, 4-3 in a shootout. And the fact that they've put up 41 and 32 shots on goal in their last 2 games tells me that this Arizona goaltending better be ready to go, because you would think this Flyers team going to be able to generate some chances against them. Claude Giroux and Jacob Voracek have been terrific for this team. 8 points already for the 2 of them this season. Wayne Simmons, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. So the guys you would expect to be leading the Flyers offensively are doing that. You'd certainly like to see a little bit more better goaltending from both Steve Mason and Michael Neuwirth. They've been a little bit up and down so far this season, but I think this is going to be one of those games where both teams are going to be able to have their fair share of success offensively. These teams already actually met this season, believe it or not. West versus East, yet they're already playing for the second time against one another. Arizona won 4-3 in overtime against Philadelphia back on October 15th. And I think we're going to see a similar game flow to that one. We're coming back to this game for play of the day at the end of this video. All right, next game, Florida, Toronto. Well, Toronto tried a different way of trying to win games. For a lot of the season, we've seen this young Leafs team have the lead, not be able to hold the lead, and that's been a big-time problem for Toronto. You look at their losses that they've suffered to Ottawa, to Minnesota, to Winnipeg, to Chicago. All of them, they had leads, could not hold on to the lead. That continues to be a sore spot. This time against Tampa Bay in their last game, they lose 7-3. They actually fell behind and almost made a comeback of their own, but fell short. They made it 5-3. Tampa Bay took advantage of a 4-minute high sticking penalty to Mitch Marner with 2 power play goals to put the game out of reach. Toronto, it remains the same. Too many mistakes in their own zone. Goaltending that simply hasn't been adequate enough from Frederik Andersen, who continues to search for his confidence in his first season with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Very tricky to trust Toronto right now with these issues they're having defensively. And the Florida Panthers, on the other hand, can they take advantage of it? Well, they've not exactly been a shutdown group by any stretch of the imagination. We're seeing Florida, losses to Washington, Tampa Bay, and Pittsburgh. They lose 4-3, 4-2, and 3-2 in those games. Not exactly been getting sharp goaltending either themselves. I mean, I think Roberto Luongo would be the first to admit he can play a little bit better than he has so far. James Reimer, of course, coming over, the new backup goaltender as a signing in the offseason by this Panthers team. But both of these guys, going to have to be good in goal for this Florida Panthers team. I'm impressed they've still been able to score some goals considering, Jussi Jokinen has been out for a few games. Jonathan Huberdeau and Nick Bjugstad have been out all season for this Florida team, yet they've still been able to generate at least some offensive opportunities, and they may not need a ton of offensive opportunities here to capitalize against Toronto, still searching to find themselves and find a much better and stronger defensive game. Toronto's just been an over-the-total machine. It's hard to buck that trend right now, given the Leafs' defensive struggles. Tampa Bay taking on Montreal in a big Eastern Conference matchup. This should be an interesting game. You got two teams that may be a big-time factor in the Eastern Conference race for the Stanley Cup Final when it's all said and done. Let's be honest, Montreal's got as good a chance of any in this conference to go deep and maybe even be an Eastern Conference champion this year as long as Carey Price is healthy. My biggest concern was, A, could he stay healthy, and B, could the offense do enough to score goals and give him offensive support? Well, They've had a tremendous start to the season. Montreal is 5-0-1. They haven't had a regulation loss yet this season. They've won 4 straight games. They've scored 4, 5, 4, and 3 goals in those 4 wins against Pittsburgh, Arizona, Boston, and Philadelphia. Alex Radulov, malcontent, problem teammate for years, going back to his Nashville days. They brought him over from the KHL, and he's been a model employee, I guess you could say, for the Montreal Canadiens. He's been scoring big goals. He had a fantastic game in the win against Philadelphia. Brandon Gallagher's chipping in. I mean, this offense for Montreal right now is putting up some points, putting up some goals. Shea Weber with 7 points already for the Montreal Canadiens. Gallagher 6 points. Galchenyuk 5. Pacioretty 5. Radulov 5. Desharnais got 4 points. I mean, this is a team that right now is finding some offense. And if Montreal even finds a little bit of offense, they don't need to be a Pittsburgh Penguins in terms of scoring goals. They just need to find a little bit of offense because their defense, and specifically Carey Price, if they're able to do that, they're going to be able to take care of the rest. And right now, Montreal's been able to do that. So, great game here coming up. Tampa Bay and Montreal. Montreal's gotten the better of Tampa here in the regular season. You look at all 4 regular season meetings last year, Montreal a 4-0 sweep over the Tampa Bay Lightning. But Tampa Bay, back-to-back wins. They've only lost 1 game so far this season, a flat 4-0 loss at home to Colorado. Other than that, they've won every other game. Stamkos is producing, Kucherov's producing, Palat's making things happen. This should be a fantastic hockey game. Tough call for me, but one I'm very interested to watch on Thursday night. Detroit taking on St. Louis. You would expect a good bounce-back effort here from the Blues. They had a very lethargic performance at home against Calgary in their last game. Probably a good spot for them to bounce back. Not sure I'm loving laying minus 160 with them, but if I had to bet, it probably would lean to the Blues. Just not sure the price is good enough for me to want to pull the trigger there. Dallas-Winnipeg next up. We've got the Jets now in a revenge situation. They lost to an injury-riddled Dallas team 3-2 the other night in Dallas. Now the return meeting between these teams here in Winnipeg. I can say right now, even with Dallas's injuries, I'm not ready to lay minus 135 with Winnipeg. I don't give a damn about revenge. They're just not playing good. They couldn't take advantage of an absolutely decimated, and I mean decimated, Dallas hockey team Tuesday night with injuries. I mean, you look at the guys that are out here for the Dallas Stars. It's unbelievable. Now I know Winnipeg is due. I would not want to back Dallas in this game with the injuries. Spezza questionable, Cody Eakin out, Yuri Hudler out, Ales Hemsky on IR, Patrick Sharp on IR, Matthias Janmark's gone for a while. I'm not backing Dallas, that's for sure. But is Winnipeg going to win this game just because they lost the other night and it's revenge? They're not playing good hockey right now. It's just all there is to it. Michael Hutchinson and Connor Hellebuck have yet to find a groove in net for them. They haven't been able to generate enough offense lately. They put up shots, but they've been held to 2 goals or less in 2 straight games against the Stars and Oilers. So, yeah, in theory, you'd like Winnipeg at home playing a team that they just lost to on Tuesday night, but the price ain't right. Minus 130 at home. That's not a price with Winnipeg playing as struggling to the extent they are right now. It's just not a price I'm interested to lay with the Winnipeg Jets right now. Columbus taking on San Jose. We'll wrap it up with this game. Nashville-LA has no line yet. I think Columbus could be live here. I mean, you look at the loss to LA, a game they didn't play that poorly in, but again, overtime win. LA got the chance in overtime before Columbus did, and they buried it. That was the difference in the game, really. But, Columbus has been spunky this year, and San Jose, to me, very Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, I don't want to say they've had a full-on Stanley Cup hangover so far, but they've not had the start. They opened 4-3, a little bit up and down. It is worth noting San Jose coming off a 2-1 overtime win inside the division against Anaheim. Intense game. Maybe they're a little bit flat. And they've had trouble with Columbus, actually, at times in the past, especially here in San Jose. You look at the last two meetings, the last two trips Columbus has made here to the Shark Tank during the regular season since 2014. Columbus won both of those games 5-4 and 5-2. So they've given the Sharks some fits here when they've made the trip here to the Shark Tank in San Jose. I think Columbus could be live. I'm not saying it'll be a significant opinion or a big play for me, but maybe a small wager worth it here on Columbus at a nice plus 170 price in this hockey game. All right, let's wrap it up. It's play of the day time for Thursday, October 27. We're going back to the Arizona-Philadelphia game. We saw a 4-3 game between these two teams just a couple of weeks ago to open the season, and I think we're going to see a similar game flow. I don't care if it's Domingue, I don't care if it's Peters in net for Arizona. I don't trust either of them. I think it's a good opportunity for Philadelphia to finally get some goals, find the back of the net, and build off the 4-goal performance they had against Buffalo in their last game. And Arizona can score. Max Domi, Anthony Duclair, Oliver Ekman-Larsson can generate offense from the blue line, and they've been able to score themselves. I think we have a fun little shootout on our hands between the Coyotes and Flyers. So for that, let's take over 5.5. Arizona-Philadelphia, rotation number 56, over 5.5. Coyotes at Flyers Thursday night. See if we can get some goals scored between these two teams. All right, that's going to wrap it up. That's my NHL Early Lines report for Thursday, October 27th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. As always, check out sportsbookreview.com. Live odds, videos, articles, sportsbook rating guide, bonus options. It's all there to set you up to be the best and most profitable bettor that you can be.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.